Hey everybody, how's it going today? It is me, Captain Energy, and today we're taking a look at the LMDrum from Behringer, modeled after the LMDrum. This unit looks similar, as far as color anyway, and it's pretty awesome the way it functions. I think it's a lot of sliders, a lot of control in these knobs and sliders, and we're going to go over it just a little bit. And my primary reason for this video today is to show you how to sample into this unit. There are a couple videos out there that I've seen, and they're missing a key factor that I have to that I want to be sure I mention here. Let's take a look at the unit overall. And by the way, if this kind of content interests you and you enjoy this kind of video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Share it with your friends, share it on other social medias. The reason I ask this is because I am not subsidized by anybody. Nobody funds this channel primarily but myself. I do get a couple donations here and there, and I really do appreciate those, everybody. So thank you. And I would like to start actually thanking people. I don't know if that's okay with people, though, to thank them publicly. But I've been receiving a few donations here and there, and I really appreciate those because they really do help out, especially when I have to foot the cost of these synthesizers myself, since I have no donations and such. Anyway, I'd appreciate it. That's all. I'll leave a link at the bottom of the video with my coffee, so if you want to donate there, you can, or you can buy some merch. I'd appreciate it either way, and like and subscribe to the channel. All of that really helps me out. All right, so here we are at the LMDrum. Here is the kind of the quick overview of what's going on here. All right, so up top here we have some controls for the whole unit. They're just kind of general controls. Down here we have our edits, the mode for like whether we're in song, pattern, step, or pads mode. Pads mode is the fun mode where you get to play the actual drums and kind of live if you want to. It's interesting because once you've played on an MPC where it's 4x4, it's interesting with the 8x2 layout. It's a little different. We have our transport right here. Select like the yes, no, and menu buttons here. We have some cursor keys here and a knob. This allows us to change. It's a data wheel type knob with also click feature on it. And over here we have our different settings. We have forward, back, mute, solo, length, sample, bank, and this is the quantize button. All right, on the right here, I'm going to skip this part right now for a minute. On the right over here, we have the wave designer where we can do a little bit of envelope work. We have a filter, which we can choose. It's high pass or just a regular analog filter. Let's see, we have our volume, and this is where it gets kind of interesting because these two volume knobs, here's your master, so you can control the, the how loud that is. One thing I've noticed in a lot of videos is that every video I've seen actually where they tell you how to sample, no one mentions that this knob needs to be turned up. They all just go right for the sampling. This knob, without this knob being turned up, the input knob, which is not obvious, nothing's going to come into that back at all. Just so you know. All right, here are our tuning knobs, and these allow us to change some of the characteristics of certain drums. As you can see down here, we have the snare, we have the toms, we have the congas, and we have the hi-hat decay. So if I go to the hi-hat, oops. Can tighten that up or loosen it up. Here we have congas. Oops, we actually need to be on the up one here. All right, toms, we have the same type of thing with here. Let's change to toms. Put those all back in the middle, kind of. Here's snare and snare. And then down here we have our pans. Every single sound on here has its own pan. So if I want to, for example, I can take my congas, right? And I can pan one left and one right. And it gives me a little more presence, I feel like, because it kind of shifts around the stereo field there. You can do that with any of these. So if I go over and I go back to, let's see here, go to my toms. All right. And actually, well, that was my toms already. Sorry, that was not my congas. Sorry. Kind of nice. You get a nice feel for where things are. You can also just use them manually while you're actually playing things. So if I were to take the ride symbol here, and I went over to, let's see, where's my ride? There it is, right here. Kind of fun to mess with that. And then we of course have levels for everything. These levels can be used a couple ways. You can use them to kind of set it and forget it, change your levels and that's whatever. Or you can use these to live mix. And when I say that, what I mean is if you create a pattern, right? So say we'll do a quick little pattern right now. I'm going to go over and I'm going to hit step sequencer. I've already selected a kick drum, okay? Actually, I'm going to select that kick drum. It's a little less impact. All right, so I've already got, you see I've got my 4 on the floor type beat here set up on step. Let's go back out to 2 pads, and I'm going to look at hi-hats. And I've got that set up also. And now, with that set up that way, if I press play, all right, now I can take this and I can go to my hi-hats and just go. See what I'm saying? Kind of cool stuff you can do there. And that's all something you would do manually. That's not something you would usually, or that you'd be able to record on this. Since it's analog type setup, it doesn't record automation that way. Would be neat if it did, but it doesn't. So that's basically just a little quick overview of everything. Now we look down here and we look, there are 16 pads, as I said. We've got our bass, which is our kick drum, okay? Let's go in pad mode here. All right, we got 2, bass 1 and 2. It's the same kick drum, but it's 2 different velocities, okay? Crash, which is actually set to, let me put that to the right symbol here, or to the right sample here. That's not a crash, that's set to a tom. There it is. Okay, there's my crash. This button is it's kind of like a shift button. I'll explain that in 1 second. So there's my crash, my kick 1 and 2, side stick, snare, 3 different levels of impact. So this is 1 sample, and these are 2 or 3 velocities of the same sample. Cabasa, 1 sample, 2 velocities. Actually, right now it's on hi-hat. To change it to cabasa, this is what the shift does here. If I go over to this button right here that says percussion, if I press this, you'll see this red light come on. When the red light is on the first row of drums, the sounds that are active are the ones at the top. If the red light is off, the sounds that are active are the ones at the bottom of the first row. On the second row, the shift doesn't do anything. It's just these 7 are drums, and this is the shift key. Okay, so let's go back over here and put it to the top. We'll go through everything. Cabasas. Here's my tambourine, and again, 1 sample, 2 velocities. Congas. All right. Now you can tune each of these with these different velocities. You can change the velocity right here. You can change the tuning. So if I go up here and I go over to tune, my arrows, I'm moving over this little blinky cursor right there. Do you see it? Next to tune. And I take this and I go. And I can take this one and have a totally different tune. Now, interesting thing is, you could have a totally different sample if, this is an interesting concept that I came up with here. See how we have this start and length right here? Because we can choose the start and length of a sound, if you have two samples in two different sounds on one sample, you could change the start to the beginning of one and then length and cut it off before it got to the next one, and vice versa, and then the next one could start in the middle type thing and length to the end of that sound, and you could get multiple sounds and get more sounds out of this unit than what are listed here. Okay, it's just a little trick, a little hack. I can show you how to do that too if you want to see how, but let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. All right, so cabasa, tambourine, congas, cowbell, claps. All right, and claps, of course, we can do all the same type of things. We can add distortion to it. This works with any sample. Okay. I can turn the distortion off. I can change the play direction. That's forward. Forward loop. Reverse looped. Or reversed, I guess. And reverse loop. Put it back to normal forward. You can change the velocity or the level of the sound right here. You can change the play length and the start, as I mentioned. Not that you want to in certain sounds, like this sound I wouldn't mess with that because you want the whole clap usually. All right, now let's see what we got for the other sounds. So let's unshift this, and let's see what we got at the bottom. Here are the rides. Toms, open hi-hat 2, and hi-hat 1. So those are the sounds that are built in. Now, this unit has, on the back, there's several ways to get audio out of this. There's your stereo jack, which is what I'm using right now. Also over here, running along the back, you will see that there are 16 outputs, one for each drum. You can run these out of here to any other effects unit or to some other compressor, whatever you want to do, and be able to affect the individual sounds, which makes sound design stuff, anything you would do with sound design, a lot more complex. You can do a lot more complex stuff using individuals as opposed to using the stereo and just only being able to affect the main, the whole mix. All right. Here's the trigger outs. This is for external things you may want to trigger with these. There are 3 triggers. You can transmit that sound to something else. We have sync in and out. Here's your MIDI, USB, power. You have a headphone jack, and right here is the input. Now, just to make you aware, when I got mine, I went to plug a cable in, and it would not go in correctly. It was weird into the input. And then I took a flashlight, looked down, and it looked like there was something in there, and I got a long, very fine tweezers and reached down the hole of the jack, and there was a silica bead that somehow got in there. I don't know how it got there, but whatever, I got it out, and now my LM drum is fine. But at first I thought it was defective. I thought it was broken out of the box. It was not broken. It was just a bad connection because the bead was blocking the tip of the 1/4-inch jack from reaching its destination. Now let's get in here. See, all these sounds you're hearing are samples, and we can bring our own samples into this unit. That's what's really cool about this device, is that I mean, like, the 909 is awesome. I love the Behringer 909, but whatever sounds are there, that's it. The 808, same thing. All those sounds are there. They're analog, of course. They're not samples, so you have a little more tweakability there in the sounds than you would get here. However, it's limited in a different way. Everything has its, you know, strengths and weaknesses. This unit has its strength in that it uses samples. So if I wanted to, I could go over here and take, let's go and grab a drum here from, I'm using my sample track here, my Sonicware, and I'm just going to go and create a drum kit. All right, I like that sound. I'm going to sample this. You can't really hear that unless you can hear it through the microphone. But if I want to bring that sound into the LMDrum, what I would do is I would go ahead and press the SAMP right here. All right, hit that, and now I am on this screen where I'm in a sampling screen. If I go ahead and press that key, I got to turn this knob up here, as I mentioned earlier. There we go. Now we can hear it. All right, let's just record this. All right, so I'm going to say this. I can hit tap, and yes, tap is right here for velocity, or for not velocity. Sorry, beats per minute. If I hit, if I want to do a match of beats per minute, I can tap that beat in. But if I hit tap and yes, then record is armed. Okay, or is on. If I hit just yes, then it's armed also. But I'm going to try it with the that. So it's already recording. And now I'm just going to go. All right. And now that should do it. Here we go. So I'm going to hit yes. Now it's applying that. Sorry, I bumped the wrong button the first time. Here we go. So now we see that it's right here. And what I'm going to do first is we're going to just see how it sounds. I'm going to hit tap, and I'm going to hit yes. And this will preview whatever was recorded. Now you can see I got a big gap in the beginning there. So I would really rather have that second one than the first one. It's got more volume to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, use my left arrow, make sure that this side is lit up where it says trim start. Okay, now I'm going to turn this knob, and we're just going to turn. So a lot of turning. Hopefully they'll do a change to this where acceleration is faster based on how quickly you increase, wind the knob. All right, so let's go over here, cut this back off. Now, the reason I'm doing all this and going crazy with this is because it's twofold. One, we don't need all that extra space, okay, because it's just there, and we want the sound to play. So even if we, have it so that right now if I play it, it's going right for it, but we still have all the space after. I want to get rid of that because RAM is limited in this device. We do not want to have a giant, see, all we need is a little teeny thing right here, and right now we've got like 20 times that space wasted, just air, and we don't need all that. All right, now that we're there, we're kind of there. I'm gonna press down on this knob, and now it zooms me in even closer, and now I can see that, well, look at this, I still have a lot of space to get rid of over here in the beginning, and at the end we still have a bunch of space as well. So let's get rid of that. All right, now let's see how that sounds. We should be. I think we're pretty good. Let's click in. All right, I think we can still get rid of a little at the beginning. And now, let's click that one more time. And now I'm going to hit yes to save. Okay. Now, once we're to this point, it wants me to give this a name. I'm just going to give this a name of S-Drum. Yeah, I think they're using that algorithm I mentioned on these letters, but not using it on the selecting of the edge there of the sample. That'd be really handy if they implement that. All right, so SDrum 1, that's what I'm calling it. And now I'm going to hit enter to save this. Okay, now it's saved. So now I need to determine where I want to put this. I'm going to put it where my side stick is because I don't really use the side stick that much. I'm not a side stick person type thing. So, okay, let's go back over here to pads. And let's just take this. We're going to go... There we go, that's better. And now that sample is in there. And you can see it says number 20. If I go over here to the samples, okay, click down on this knob right here, and we go into the sample, turning the knob, you'll see that it says SDrum 1. There's my drum I have right there, which I can change that back to whatever if I want to. Easy enough by just turning the knob. And back to. And there it is. I can adjust the level if I want to a little. I can give this a little less or a little more distortion. I can lower the pitch. One other thing that's kind of cool, that was a lot lower by the way, we were at loaded almost a whole octave. That right there is a whole octave. That's about 11. Now one other thing that's interesting is that if you hit tap and pad, you get this 1 octave keyboard here, this is kind of cool. Whatever the last pad you played whatever the last pad you played was, becomes the sound that's spread across these, which lets me play this chromatically. Having that feature right there, kind of as far as being able to tweak the sound, and as I was showing earlier with the being able to pick a different sound or whatever for the congas and that type of thing, that's kind of a neat way to get around that. You can still use this. You can still use the pitched control here to play that sound. So now if I hit record, okay, we've heard this bit here, right? That click also has its own little slider right here. I can turn that off if I want to. And now I'll just go over here and go. I mean, with enough motivation and creativity, this whole thing, you could create whole songs with this device. Yeah, so just wanted to show you that. Next time I'll take a look through the software so we can kind of get familiar with getting samples in that way and managing your library of patches so you can load in samples and save them and back them up and share them with your friends. And I will also probably put together a couple drum kits that I'll put up on my Gumroad with that video that you'll be able to get and try out on your LM drum if you're interested. And they'll be, a couple bucks or something. It won't be like super expensive. So let me know what you thought of this video, and if you have any questions, and if you got one of these, and if you're going to be, what you're going to be doing with it. I'm curious what you see this as for yourself. Do you see it as just a drum machine? Do you see it as like a whole production center? Or are you trying to use it with 1 or 2 other pieces of gear and really just kind of do the whole DAWless thing? I'm just wondering where you see this fitting into your workflow. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.